Hey guys, welcome to today and to today's pregnancy update. I am 32 weeks tomorrow, and so I wanted to sit down, film another one of these pregnancy updates. Although I feel like I haven't done very many this pregnancy, and that's probably because I just think that a lot of my symptoms are very similar to my pregnancy with Nova, and so it doesn't feel like I have as much to update on. But I know that each experience is unique, and I want to just have this documented to look back on one day and maybe to find some little comparisons between this pregnancy and my first pregnancy as well, because it's always interesting to hear what a second pregnancy is like compared to the first. So I just brought up my pregnancy app that I use the most often, which is the Bump, and it says at week 32 baby is as big as a squash, and that baby could already be weighing almost 4 pounds. So that totally explains why I'm feeling super duper heavy these days. But yeah, growing, getting bigger, almost 17 inches long approximately. So definitely growing. So I am already less than 2 months away from my due date. My due date is August 14th. Today, as I'm filming this, I don't even know what day it is. Today is the June 18th, so less than 2 months till my due date. And I feel like I'm starting to panic a little bit. I'm realizing that really that isn't very much time, because I feel like my days are just so busy with other things too, like taking care of my toddler, doing things content-wise, and all this stuff is also taking up my time, that I need to find pockets of time to be doing things to prep for baby, because yeah, 2 months can go by so fast, especially the summer months. I feel like they're definitely going to go by really quickly, and I really just haven't done much at all to prep. I need to get some ordering of some things. I don't need a lot, but just some postpartum stuff. I want to start getting things organized and looking through the things that I already have in storage and making sure that I have what I need. I just all of a sudden, 3 days ago, kind of started to panic. I was like, oh my gosh, we don't have that much time. We have a lot of time, but also not a lot of time at the same time. You know what I mean? So other than panicking and starting to realize that the clock is ticking, some of my physical symptoms, like I said, seem pretty similar to my first pregnancy. I guess the biggest difference between pregnancies is just that I'm experiencing these symptoms quicker, sooner on, and a bit more intense. I'm just more uncomfortable, and I just have more of whatever I'm dealing with. So for example, I definitely get a lot of Braxton Hicks contractions, and they just feel more tight than I remember them being in my first pregnancy. Sometimes I even have to just stop and get through it for a minute. Not that they're anything comparable to real contractions, but it kind of does bring you back a little bit. So I'm definitely gonna start using them as a way to practice and prepare for real contractions and for when real labor starts. Shortness of breath is huge. Barely breathing over here, huffing and puffing anytime I walk up the stairs or do anything that requires a little bit of breath. So there's a lot of that. I can feel that my lungs are just crowded, and that I can't get as good of a breath in, if that makes sense. My number one most difficult or life altering symptom, so to speak, is acid reflux and heartburn. They kind of go hand in hand, but definitely acid reflux. I just if I'm not 100% vertical, I feel it. If I'm laying in bed, I've been having to prop my head up with 3 pillows to sleep. I can't drink water too close to before bed or anything. It's just it really affects my sleep, and I'm waking up a lot because I can just feel this burning feeling, and it's not very comfortable, that's for sure. It's all kind of part of just being crowded, baby, and everything being pushed up. There's just a lot less room, and so everything just is struggling. A funny one is a few days ago or a few nights ago, I woke up for my middle of the night pee as I usually do. Try my best to like get myself out of bed, you know, the struggle. I should film myself one time because it's quite funny. It is definitely a scene to watch a pregnant lady try to get out of bed and out of her pregnancy pillow and multiple pillow situations and try to like get out. It's quite funny, especially in the middle of the night when you really gotta pee. But I digress. Anyways, I was going for my middle of the night pee as usual, and I realized that my shirt was like a little wet. Like I had leaked a little bit, so that is interesting. I don't think that happened with my first pregnancy really. I assume that just because I breastfed before, things are just a little more on the ready. So, and then just overall just so like heavy and uncomfortable. I feel like I carry my babies kind of on the low side, just compared to these two pregnancies, and I definitely like feel like the heaviness of everything low. Like as much as I'm like crowded up here, I do think I'm carrying kind of low, but I'll show you the bump in a little bit and you can let me know in the comments what you think. But yeah, just very like heavy, uncomfortable. I think the biggest difference with that this time around is like I'm a lot more physical in my day-to-day than I needed to be in my first pregnancy, because I'm, you know, lifting a toddler, helping her with things, bending down to get her dressed, change her diapers. Like there's all kinds of more like physical aspects, whereas with the first pregnancy I feel like I could alter them a bit more, but this time being a mom, like I still like I gotta do what I gotta do, you know. So that is getting trickier. Kale's been great at like helping where he can, but I still, you know, I still have to do things that I have to do. So definitely feeling it more tired, just from beginning of the day to the end of the day to the middle of the night, like just always tired. And that goes for like physically and mentally, just very exhausted. As for like stretch marks on my tummy area, I haven't gotten any new stretch marks, but what I'm noticing is that the ones that I had from my pregnancy with Nova are starting to just like stretch even more. So you can see where there's like the faded stretch mark line, and then you can see where it's like redder and fresher and it's just like stretching even more. So I just have a few on my hips, and then a few where I've had scars from past surgeries. I have like stretch marks from the scars, if that makes sense. And then this time around I am starting to develop the linea nigra line, like that goes across your belly. But I feel like when I looked back at a picture of around this stage with Nova's pregnancy, that line was already a lot darker than it is this time, which is really interesting to me. I thought it would be the other way. I thought it would come full force sooner this pregnancy, but that's not the case. It's there, but just like super light and faint. My belly button is still an innie, but it's like starting to really flatten out. With my first pregnancy, it never did pop. It just was kind of like flat. So I'm curious to see as the weeks progress what will happen, but I have a feeling it won't pop. It's just not really that kind of belly button. This is a weird topic, but you know, it pertains to the pregnancy. I think overall time is just moving quicker in a lot of ways because I'm having like less chances to just kind of sit down and like relish in it all. Like I'm very, you know, busy day to day, so the weeks are going by pretty quickly, which is both exciting and nerve-wracking. Baby's movements are becoming real. Like they are shaking my whole belly. They're like doing wild things, and she is moving like crazy. So that is so fun, but it's also starting to get to the point where it's like, okay, now it's like uncomfortable, you know. It starts out being these little butterfly feelings, and then it's like cute little jabs, and then you get to the point where it's like, okay, ouch, that actually hurt. Could you chill out in there, please? I do have an ultrasound scheduled for a few days from now, and I'm really excited about it because I have never, with my previous pregnancy, I didn't have an ultrasound this far into the pregnancy. I had the anatomy scan at like 19 weeks and then nothing. So this time will be kind of cool to get to like have another peek, see like at a different stage. And I'm also going to ask if we can just take a little peek down in the down under area just to like confirm that you know, baby girl is baby girl, because if you saw the gender reveal stuff that we did a few months ago, we were just left like with a little inch of doubt. So I'm excited to just ask to see that for my own eyes. So I have updated you guys a little bit in vlogs and things, but I did have like a borderline barely pass my glucose diagnostic test. So I failed my screen, and then I had to go back for the other test, and then I like only just passed. And so what happened is my midwife is kind of saying, well, if you had your blood taken like maybe 2 minutes earlier, like could we know for sure that it wasn't a fail? So what we're trying to do is treat it as just like being cautious with my sugars and etc. So that means I'm having to change my diet, which means low carb, low sugar, and whatever else, but I'm finding it very difficult. I'm finding it kind of complicated because I haven't actually been diagnosed, and I'm not going to see like a dietitian or getting like the finger prick and like testing my blood sugar level. So I feel like I'm like in this gray zone where it's kind of all up to me and I have no idea what I'm doing. So I'm just trying my best, and that has been hard. It's been kind of a factor where I'm like, okay, August can come because mama just wants to eat all of the goods, and this is really hard to keep myself in check, but I'm doing my best, and I think that's really all I can do under the circumstances. There's that, and then that ultrasound that I have scheduled is technically, so it's a growth ultrasound, and that's to check on baby's growth, to see, because I have something called placental lakes, and I don't really understand it, to be honest, but essentially they just require an ultrasound just to check that baby's growing, because it's something to do with the placenta, and of course that's like the source of food and everything for babies. So we're just checking on that. So on one hand I have something that we're checking to make sure baby's not too small, and then on the other hand we're checking to make sure baby's not too big. So it's kind of funny, and I'm sure we'll be in the middle, but like I said, it'll be good to just get a chance to see baby again. I do think I'm going to that ultrasound alone though, but hopefully I can take some pictures or something. My appointments with my midwife are going to start getting a little bit more frequent soon. I have, you know, appointments with my doula, and I'm starting to like hunker down and think more about like birth and, you know, my thoughts on that, and just processing it again, and just like preparing my heart and mind for what, you know, are the potentials for this birth, because he did have kind of a traumatic afterbirth experience with Nova's delivery. Nobody expects that I'll have another retained placenta this time, or that it'll be as difficult in all the ways that it was, but we do want to kind of like approach it as a just in case, let's be prepared, let's know it's a possibility, but let's not expect it kind of attitude. And so that's what I am starting to do and starting to think more about. The only real birth plan that I have specifically is that I will be delivering at the hospital. I will have Caleb there, and we're hoping that my doula can be there based on when the restrictions are lifted for that sort of thing, which hopefully is supposed to be in like the next couple weeks. So we're just gonna like cross our fingers so tight, because I really would like for that to happen. And then I'm of course delivering with my midwife, and I'm just going to keep an open mind, keep an open heart going into it. I had a very long labor with Nova, and I labored naturally, like without medication, at home for 12 hours before I was just too tired and needed to go to the hospital to get some help, and that's where I got an epidural and got some more assistance. But I think due to like, it must have been her positioning in the womb during labor that caused me to have like these doubling and tripling contractions, so not getting like a break in between contractions meant for a very tired mama after 12 hours. And so I definitely want to be more diligent on like, you know, making sure that baby is in the best position possible for birth this time, and just like doing the stretches and that and all that stuff leading up to it. So that's something I'm starting to think more about, because I would love for this to just be a bit more of a simple experience. Nova's birth was the best. I loved it. It was hard. It was so hard. and I don't regret anything. Like, it was just magical in so many ways, but it was definitely hard. And so I'm hoping that just this time it'll just be a little less hard. That's just all I'm looking for, you know, a little less of a lengthy labor, a little less pushing, just a little less hard. And it's funny, I actually put a poll up on my Instagram stories. If you want to go follow me, I'm at Ayla Sophia, and I asked you guys about if you've had a second pregnancy, second labor, second birth, and then in comparison to your first. So I said, did you go into labor the second time sooner than you did with your first pregnancy? So far the votes are saying 59% said sooner, 41% said later. Just curious, like, how much time I have, you know, not that you can really base it off of this, but just kind of curious. And then the other question I said is, was your labor with your second birth shorter or longer than your first labor? And so far the responses say 86% said shorter and 14% said longer. So that is looking good. That is looking really good, and that makes me excited, because anything shorter than 24 hours of active labor is gonna be good. I'm just hoping, that's all I'm hoping for, honestly, is just shorter than 24 hours. But anyways, on that note, I've been filming for a long time. I probably forgot things, probably talked way too long, but the good thing is I can always update you guys throughout the vlogs and stuff as more things come up. Definitely will be filming that ultrasound on Monday, but I'm just really excited. And I don't know, like, I really don't know with infertility, with IVF, embryo adoption, I just don't know if this will be my last pregnancy. There's no way of knowing, and so I definitely want to cherish these last weeks, because I just don't know. And now I'm gonna get emotional. It's yeah, I just want to cherish this time with just Nova, and with baby in my belly and everything that comes with it. So that's my focus for the next few weeks. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's pregnancy update. Sorry that I haven't been doing very many of them, but like I said, it doesn't seem like there's a lot to update on. But then I sit down and start talking and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been talking, like, it's been recording for well over 20 minutes. So I guess there was enough to update you on. Okay, so this is my 32-week belly. Yeah, I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments below if you think I carry kind of low. I'll show you like this. I don't think I carry high. I don't know, maybe it's an in-between kind of situation, but it's definitely getting big. And then just brought you to the mirror here to show a bit closer. Here's an example of my stretch marks. Like, this is from a scar, and then they just kind of have grown from there. And then I get them on my hips as well. So where I said like it's darker red is like where the new stretch marks are forming. So just kind of like on the side of my hips and that sort of thing. My belly button is still an innie. This is a scar from surgery as well. So I wonder if that plays a part in why it doesn't pop out.